Good morning, everyone. This is Nikachu, Merfolk Master, and we are here with another day of Coffee and MTG, the morning talk show where we talk Magic the Gathering. You got some questions? Let's have some discussion. Let's talk Magic today. All things going on in Magic the Gathering, and we're all wherever you are in this world, whether it's the morning, afternoon, or evening, brew up your cup of magic. I've got my coffee, and you know what? Today is definitely absolutely a coffee day for me. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm not always the most punctual person. I think you realize that, when I do these streams, not exactly on time at 11 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time, usually at like 11:02, 11:03. I'm supposed to be here on twitch.tv/Nikachu MTG Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I am there every weekday, but sometimes I start at 11:03, 11:04, 11:02 a.m. Central Standard Time. Also, don't believe in the notifications. Just show up. Just be here. Be ready for Coffee and MTG. So I was up all night. To do a homework assignment. Basically, it was due 12 o'clock in the morning. I think I submitted it like 11:57, something to that effect. So anyway, I was up all night, and now well, it felt like an all-nighter. How about that? So good morning, 5x5. Good morning, Fish Fam. I just announced my plans for Flip It or Rip It VIP edition. I know Lord Magicus, who's part of my community, has made almost, I don't want to put a ritual, but made it part, like, it's just part of his made it a ritual of flipping or ripping some portion of some new set that comes out, particularly the expensive double, like, masters sets. I think he's ripped a Tarmogoyf. That's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. Some people like to watch the world burn. Set bid zero. Good morning. Konbanwa. O Genki Deska. Isn't it Ohio gozaimasu at this point in time? Or I don't know. I don't know where you are in this world. It could be different. Could be different. Absolutely. Coffee-filled salutations. Have you ever tried Gemstone Caverns to ramp out all your 2-drops? Great. Well, we got the questions coming out of the gates. Great question. Let's take a look at Gemstone Caverns. Super underrated card. Gemstone Caverns says if it's in your opening hand and you're not playing first, so you have to be on the draw, or I guess you just don't have to be the person starting the game if it's commander. You may begin the game with Gemstone Caverns in play with a luck counter on it. If you do, remove a card in your hand from the game, and you can tap it at it any. If it has the luck counter, you can tap it for any mana, like of any color: blue, red, black, white. Otherwise, it just taps for a generic. It's actually really interesting because randomly, it helps you pay black for Dismember, so you don't take nearly as much life. If you're running Gutshot, you can just pay the red with this thing. And but the point is that Merfolk, as a Merfolk deck, we're full of 2-drops. We're not super fast right out of the gate, so this is a way of getting onto the board or even stealing the play with a card like this. So the situation is it's still card disadvantage. So if there is a heavy attrition-based metagame, this is not really where you want to be. In addition to that, it is still a colorless land, makes your mana a little bit awkward because you still, even without Gemstone Caverns, you need to have a certain amount of blue in your deck. So this is going to take up a slot like of Mutavault or Cavern Souls, or, well, Cavern Souls is blue mana technically. Is a good card. So I'll tell you when I played this card. I played it when the format was pretty fast. It was pretty fast, and I was playing a more mid-range version of Merfolk. So if the format is fast and I'm playing not an aggressive version of Merfolk, so not Simic, so close to mono blue, I have played with Gemstone Caverns in the past. But aside from that, I have it in my toolbox. I own one. Got it foil when it was super cheap. No one wanted this card, but now. I think they're going to reprint this thing eventually. The price of this thing ballooned up so much. But anyway, it's a great underrated card. Definitely can be played in the Merfolk toolbox. I don't know if this is the right time right now, but if anyone else wants to play with it, I'm sure it's good. I will admit that it was convenient when I was running Smuggler's Copter, because going turn 2 Copter really sucks. Going turn 1 Copter is a big deal, so that you can start blocking or attacking with it by turn 2. So that's a really big deal, because turn 1 do nothing, turn 2 play Smuggler's Copter, you're probably getting wailed on a little bit by your opponent because you can't block. So getting Smuggler's Copter in play turn 1 with the Gemstone Caverns and turn 1 land is where you could be. So anyway, thank you very much for the question. Great question. Oh, Coffee and MTG. I hope, if for all of you just joining us, wherever you are in this world, grab your coffee, grab your tea, grab your Slurpee, grab your mochas, your hot chocolates. Let's have some great conversations today. I don't know what you maybe you're drinking iced coffee. It's pretty hot in the world right now. But welcome to Coffee and MTG. So for the first 30 minutes, we do Q&A or just Magic discussion. And for the next 30 minutes, we do deck list review, where if you need clarity on your deck list, make sure that you have it prepared with a link. And then when we're ready, you can submit it, and you'll be chosen at random, and we will try to make some valuable discussion about your deck. And if you need clarity, you need help, need it to move in the right direction, make sure that it's ready for deck list review. Good morning, Gus. Good morning, El Rodeo-san. The only good goif is a ripped goif. You know what? There's probably a lot more people who would believe that. It's okay, though. I'm balancing out my karma from this by giving one away. All right. So you tear up your own, but you balance it out by donating. 1800 pressure. Hey, how are you doing today? And also, how do I get you to view my deck list? So I hope you heard my instructions. 30 minutes from now, I'm going to call for deck list review, submit the list with anything else that you need to tell me about. Is it budget? What format? And hope good luck. And if I don't discuss your deck today, there's going to be another day. We do this every weekday. Just to remind everyone, again, we do this every weekday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 11 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. So if I don't get to you today, I might get you to tomorrow. Eventually, I'll review your list. Chances are. Kyle Nano, good morning. Good morning, Niels Nielsen. MTG and Bagels. That is a nice, unique, refreshing username. Hello. What do you think about the card Isolate for Modern? That's sort of a new card, isn't it? I think that's a new card, right? It's not that new. It's actually pretty old. It's an interesting card. So it's 1 mana, exile target permanent with converted mana cost 1. So it's I think it's good. I think it's just good. I think it's a very nice card, and I think actually it's particularly well positioned right now, given the fact that Mono Red Prowess is a pretty popular deck, and exile Soulscar Mage, exile Swiss Spear. So in addition to that, you can still nail every deck has 1-drops basically. Almost every single deck has 1-drops. Well, I don't know if I would bring it against Eldrazi-Tron, but it has the potential of hitting Expedition Map. I might bring this in against regular Tron. I might. Would I? Maybe not. We're just bringing it in against the decks that have permanents. But again, in a Vile Mirror, this probably will crush, because you can hit their Vile, or you can hit a Champion of the Parish against humans, or their Noble Hierarch. Probably is brutal against Infact. So I actually think Isolate is really good. Maybe a very underrated card. Should actually see more play. Probably should see more play than it actually does. Very interesting card. Force of Ramp. Good morning, Direwolf. Where am I? Oh, as I am doing this, I think it is time that I switch categories here. So we're in the Magic category. Oh, so a lot of are these things showing up? Okay, so where am I? So Courtesy SLC subscribed for 3 months in a row. 3 months in a row. Courtesy has been riding the wave. Riding the wave for 3 months. Thank you very much, Courtesy, for supporting the channel. Supporting the live streams to know how much everybody loves these live streams. And also thank you very much to Monster CC. Also 3 months in a row. Thank you very much, Monster CC. I hope everyone appreciates. I'm a streamer now. I'm a streamer. It seems like people appreciate it. Maybe I should have been doing this a long time ago. I don't know. I didn't have the computer really to live stream, in my opinion, but I do now. I have no excuses. So here I am, and I think people love the daily talk show. Oh, how many do I normally run? Being legendary is rough. I ran one. I just ran one Gemstone Cavern. So this is about the conversation surrounding Gemstone Caverns. I just ran one of these. I didn't run any more than that because it is legendary, and it will really suck. It will really suck if you get multiples of these because you'll have to sacrifice it. So like being one on the play, it's not a problem. Just, like, because you'll never sacrifice another one. Okay, so where are we? Am I getting more stuff? So Fauna69 has also just subscribed for 2 months in a row. Thank you very much, Fauna69, for your support. Thank you very much for riding the wave for your 2nd month. Riding the wave gets easier and easier with each wave and with each month. Thank you very much for the support. So oh yeah, so like there is a balance. Like there isn't any big balance with Gemstone Caverns. It's just like I look at it like a bonus because I don't want to flood out on Gemstone Caverns. I could maybe in theory see having a 2nd Gemstone Caverns in the sideboard and you bring it in only on the draw. But for the most part, I just look at Gemstone Caverns as purely a bonus for the particular situation. Anyway, yeah. I don't want to base my entire deck around Gemstone Caverns. I want my deck to speak for itself, and then situationally, I'm going to get lucky and get my Gemstone Caverns. Shadow Cybear flexing the chubby meatball emotes. Afternoon from upstate New York. Good afternoon from Winnipeg, Manitoba. Oh, that's cute. Chubby meatball with the glasses. What do you think about a Lurin in Legacy? Let's see. So this is the card. Any player may play creature cards with converted mana cost 3 or less without paying their mana cost, and as though they had flash. I don't know where a Lurin is positioned right now. I just jumped back into Legacy like yesterday. Almost a lot of decks in Legacy see play. What I think is really good is what is the guy's name? Goblin Lackey 1. I believe that's the user. Like he plays goblins, just plays goblins. No one else is winning with goblins, but he's showing he can win with goblins, winning consistently with 5 zeros, putting up tons of published lists. Not under the Goblin Lackey 1. I don't think under the Goblin Lackey 1 username online. But the point is there is a lot of room of playing with niche decks in Legacy if you know them really well. Now the problem is I don't know how well a lot of these niche decks are holding up to the new power level of Legacy. Maybe they need to make changes, maybe not. I don't know, but certainly Lurin is a deck and has been for like years. And I mean, like it's a combo deck like any other one, and basically, you know, if you can get your Lurin in play, well, whatever. What can I say? When a Lurin is in play, if it resolves, I usually feel pretty lost. So Lurin is definitely an archetype if that's something that you want to play. I can't remember exactly how the combo goes. I know it goes with like Parasite Strix. I can't remember exactly how this combo goes. And look, they didn't even give me the English one, but I believe that's it enters the battlefield. You like gain and drain 2. Something to that effect, and there's this way of like bouncing these creatures back to hand. Cavern Harpy and Parasite Strix. When it comes into play, return a blue or black creature you control to its owner's hand. Pay 1 life, and you can return Harpy back to hand. And with Lurin, you can do this thing at flash, so it's like near damn impossible. It's very, very, very difficult to interact with this combo. They don't use Strix now; they use Cat, so they've upgraded. Cauldron Familiar. So upgraded Cauldron. Oh, cheaper cheaper rate, and still basically the same thing, right? You know, you gain life, you gain life, they lose life. So that's basically how it works. So, oh, drain that can be cascaded into. Was Tuckstep say drain that can be cascaded into is better than drain that can't be cascaded into. Okay, interesting. That's true because the deck plays shardless agent. So you can find creatures with converted mana cost 2 or less with shardless agent. That's not going to happen with. Oops, I don't have parasites. Parasite Strix costs 3. Sorry, not Parasite. Parasite Strix costs 3 mana, so you cannot find the Strix off of Shardless Agent. Therefore, Cauldron Familiar. Great stuff. Great stuff. Glad we have a Legacy mind here. Tuckstev very seasoned with the Legacy format. I'm fine with Legacy if I'm playing, but I'm much more heavier into Modern. So great question. Great question. If you want, I don't know if now's the time for Lurin, but I know that in the long run, Lurin is still a deck, and there's certainly a lot of room for Lurin to keep adding to their toolbox. I mean, look at Cauldron Familiar. Like they just got an upgrade. Look, they got an upgrade, and certainly they could get even more upgrades over time. So Gibby 420. Oh yeah, speaking of the deck lists, thanks for all the advice yesterday, everyone. I didn't get many games in with the new list, but it feels a lot more focused and aggressive now. Congratulations. And we do hear tons of success stories. People get their feedback. They come back saying that they're winning. That's great. So I'm glad that a lot of people are, taking the feedback to heart and improving the deck. And certainly sometimes it's just really simple stuff. Like, you need like 4 more black mana sources so that you can cast your 2-drops. Sometimes you just need like 1/1 to complement the rest of the deck. Sometimes you just need like 1 removal spell and everything is fine. Sometimes there's a lot of situations where a deck is just off by like 4 cards to turn it from like unplayable to great. So I'm glad that a lot of people are coming over here for that feedback. Good morning, Biscuit Bone Man. I really like the streams, but I miss Nikachu news. I think a lot of people miss Nikachu news. Eden4111, good morning. What do you think about Manamorphos in Bant or Sultai Control main deck for mana fixing to use Cryptic Command and as protection from Blood Moon? It also makes your deck more consistent. I think it's a pretty bad idea. So what Manamorphos is overall is it's a mean of just getting an extra spell off. Like the value of Manamorphos is that you basically play a spell for free. It's not good for mana fixing, and you might as well not use it for that. Like, for example, let's say there's a Blood Moon out and you only have red mana available. Is the Manamorphos really going to do much for you? You basically got 1 shot at playing a spell, but in the long run, you're still locked out to the Blood Moon. Now, and it's a really bad, like, in theory, you could use it for mana fixing, but you could just do anything else for mana fixing. Like, you can just play the appropriate mana base, basically. So anyway, I don't like, and if you don't have a green source of mana out, then you can't even cast it. Like, what if what if you're running Bant and you just have blue and white out, or you just have blue or black out? Then this card sort of gets stranded in your hand. But that's not entirely a really big weakness. But I think the biggest weakness with Manamorphos in a control deck is that it's not worth a card. It's worth like 2/3 of a card because your deck is full of air, or it might even be worth half a card. So once you cycle it, you're not even getting a full card out of this. Whereas it's much better for the, how do I put it, something like Ice Fang Quaddle, where you draw a full card. You got a card on the battlefield for that. You got a card for on the battlefield for that. The best thing that you could do with Manamorphos probably would be to Snapcast it back if you just wanted to randomly cycle a card. But like, that's not even the best value, because you might as well play something like, for example, Opt instead. But so I think the real solution is either, if you have a big Blood Moon problem, make your mana base less vulnerable to Blood Moon fetch out your basics or go to colors or something like that. Manamorphos doesn't seem to be a card that is, because the slots are important. If you look at a control deck, like every slot is so important. They don't have enough room to play 4 of everything. They got to make really tough choices with their list. Like they can only have X many counter spells, X many of this type of removal spell, X of this type of removal spell. And they can only have this many planeswalkers because the list is so tight with what they can jam in it. And if you're running 4 Manamorphos, you're going to push out a lot of those critical spells. So for all these reasons, I actually don't think Manamorphos can work in a deck like this. Manamorphos' true value is that you just pull off a spell without actually spending mana, because you're just going to get mana to replace it. That's good for like Storm decks and Prowess decks. They love this card. And it sometimes could be useful if you really need to fill the graveyard really quickly, if that is important. There could be some value in that as well. But anyway, thank you very much for the question. I think a lot of people ask about Manamorphos pretty often in this way, so I hope that clears up things to anyone else who wants to use Manamorphos for mana fixing. I think originally Manamorphos was built for mana fixing, and it ended up being a disaster. That card has not been used for mana fixing whatsoever at all. It's just being used in combo decks relentlessly. So we're going to quickly thank Fauna69 for subscribing for 2 months. Did I thank already, Fauna? Well, if I didn't thank, thank you very much, Fauna. If I thanked already, thank you for a second time. We also got, who else have I missed here? We got the Pessimist Scientist, been riding the wave for 3 months in a row. Thank you very much, Pessimist Scientist. Ezra Bolton just subscribed. Subscribe with Prime. Subscribed with Prime. Let's not forget about the Primes out there, people. Fauna69 also subscribed with Prime for 2 months in a row. If you got a Prime, give me Jeff Bezos' money. Don't give Jeff Bezos. Don't let Jeff Bezos keep his money. Give it to me. Give it to Nikachu. Nikachu can use the money more than Jeff Bezos. That's for sure. Nikachu can use the money more than Jeff Bezos. So thank you very much, everyone, for your subscriptions. Is Master of Waves back in lists now? I don't think so. Master of Waves is good in some matchups, but it's really clunky and crappy in other ones. It is back to some extent. There are mono blue lists winning with Master of Waves. We'll just put it that way. But there's other lists that are also being successful. There's a really good balance of like Simic, blue white, and also mono blue. So, but the Simic and blue white lists are either not running Master of Waves, or they're like off and on whether they want to run Master of Waves. Blada, would you mind if I share your deck list for Pauper and Legacy? Would you mind if I share you? Only a deck list review. We do that. There's a time and place for everything. Right now is discussion, Q&A. Let's have some fun talking, and then we do. Everyone is allowed to post lists of anything. Although I will be way more valuable to the non-Pauper formats, but maybe somebody else here can help out with Pauper. We got a great community here. A lot of people give really good feedback. There's a lot of ideas that people come up in chat that I'm not thinking about on the spot. I sacrificed 100 channel points to make this message stand out. You know, the problem is that I'm using a online client called StreamYards, and I can't see any of that stuff. I know it shows up on Twitch. I've got them both. I got them both running. But anyway, did your thing stand out? Let me look. Oh, and Pessimist Scientist also said down with fire design. All right. You hear that, Wizards? People don't like fire design. People do not like it. It's another problem. I can't see the sub messages on StreamYards. I'm in Korea, so I'll take some sleepy time tea instead of coffee. All right, yeah. What is it called? Chamomile tea. Chamomile. Someone help me out with this. Shadow Walker asks or says, I'm not sure I'm excited or worried about a Amonkhet remastered spoilers. You know what? Change happens, and maybe unfortunately for the historic format on MTG Arena, changes is gonna happen like frequently, because like, so if anyone doesn't know what my opinion of historic is going to be, historic in the long run is just going to be legacy. It's just going to be legacy. Maybe not exactly like legacy, because they're not going to reprint and program every single card into MTG Arena, but they will effectively print and program every like decent card on MTG Arena. It's like, you know, there's so many cards in Homelands and Fallen Empires and Alpha, Beta, like all these, like Arabian Nights, a whole bunch of useless garbage that doesn't need any sort of reprinting at all. But in the long run, it's going to have like basically all the notable useful cards that Legacy has. Now, that being said, as they aggressively program these things, the historic format is going to be shaken up by many, many factors. First, the program, like new sets coming out, specialty sets that come out, and also just old cards that they just want to jam in, and then all the sets that they work backwards on. So we're going to see Amonkhet, and then eventually we're going to see them like program sets going back further and further. So historic is just, I think, the nature of historic, because I think people may be a little worried about things like Hornet Queen and Collected Company being part of the format. Fact of the matter is, I think historic is going to be like a really fast changing format. It's not going to be very static whatsoever, as Wizards of the Coast is going to aggressively add cards to that card pool, so both forwards and backwards. So you're gonna get cards going. You know, the new cards that are coming out are going to get added to the card pool, and the old cards are going to get added to the card pool. And of course, they're going to make the necessary bannings in between to make sure the format is fun and balanced. But just curious what everyone else thinks about that. I'm really excited for Amonkhet, says Roadkill. I also hope that the rumors of Thoughtseize are true. And Shadow Cybear says, I didn't know my messages were going to be brought up in the stream 5 minutes later. I was just chatting. Oh, yes. So they show up. They show up. They do. Oh, and thank you to Eden, also just subscribing. Thank you very much, Eden, for your subscription. Thank you for joining the wave. I need to get my wave alert here, basically. So while I have everybody's attention, I would love to thank my sponsors for this channel, starting with themanabase.com, a site with content creators making content on Commander, Standard, Modern, and more. The Manabase is your home base for everything Magic the Gathering. And Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online. You can support the channel by subscribing to their service with my link in the description below, or you can get 20% off your first 3 months by using the coupon code Nikachu. So we're going to thank the Mana Traders for being our sponsor. Where was I? Jumping back and forth all over the place. I can't tell where I last left off. I might just have to choose some random place. My daily meatball greeting. I stand that kitty. do we have a kitty to show? Oh, Salu, where do you go? Salu. Oh, Salud's not here. Salud was on the bed right now. Salud is in like the thumbnail that I posted on social media. Sorry about that. No kitty today. No kitty around here. What do you think of Luris plus Unsettled Mariner for Merfolk? Well, so far, I mean, it's proven. Simple as that. Unsettled Mariner plus Luris is definitely a proven strategy. Already has multiple 5-0s and just won the Modern Challenge, first place. And probably, hopefully, I should try the list. I already played a few versions of stuff like this without Luris, to be honest. I played without Luris. I should play with Luris. But it's not really my style of gameplay. I'm much more enjoying the Simic version. However, I have to admit, I've got problems against prowess. You have problems. I need to make some really good. Either have to find a really good solution or make some big changes to compensate. So, but aside from that, I think it's an excellent strategy. It's a proven strategy at this point. There's no luck involved. It showed the potential in the 5-0s, and then it proved it. It genuinely proved its worth with the top 8 and then victory of the recent Modern Challenge. Betamax says, "Good morning, everyone. I recently adopted the Looter scooter, and while it seemed a bit clunky at first, it's so incredible for smoothing out draws that I'm all on board with it. Scoot, scoot." And I think what actually helps is that there's Jund out there, but there's just not an overwhelming amount of Jund out there. Same thing with Death Shadow, so it's convenient that there's not that many Kolaghan's commands in the format. It's also important that it's not that aggro either. I think the most aggro deck that punishes Smuggler's Copter would probably be like Mono Red Prowess. But aside from that, it's a pretty like mid-rangey metagame overall, in my opinion. Which is good for Smuggler's Copter. So if you have any questions, we've got like billions of comments in the chat. Just make sure you go at Nikachu MTG, or you can give me 3 question marks before the question. 3 question marks after the question helps me find your questions or comments among the sea of all this other stuff, just like Niels Nielsen does here. I spotted it in the chat. When you play in paper, do you play other decks than Merfolk? And do you own other decks, or is it just pimped out Merfolk? I do not play any other decks. I just play Merfolk. And just to maybe just to give my philosophy on this again, I think when it comes to non-rotating formats, it's very important that you just play one deck. Or I would say, okay, I could take this question in 2 ways. Like, do I have other decks to play for fun, or do I play other decks to learn and understand them? Because there's a lot of people that like to test out other decks to like learn how they play. And in my opinion, when it comes to non-rotating formats, I think it's like pointless to play other people's decks to actually learn how they work for the most part, because you're not going to play it like a master, and you're not actually going to play it. See, if you don't play it to their level, then you're not actually learning the deck at all. Whereas when it comes to standard, experience matters a lot less, because everyone is very short on experience. So no one's mastered any deck, because everyone, like, if the format was just created like a week ago, then if you play test any deck, then you will learn just as much as everyone else. But I think this is just mostly asking, do I play other decks than Merfolk? The answer is no. I do not play any other decks than Merfolk. Sticking to Merfolk. I love Merfolk. That's why I have this channel, because I just stick to Merfolk. Shambly, how do you feel about Elementals stealing Master of Waves as sideboard tech against Engineers? How do you feel about Elementals stealing Master of Waves as sideboard tech against Engineer? I didn't know they were doing that. That's pretty cool. Hopefully it's useful. I don't know if it's useful. Is that good? Is that good for them? The Elementals deck? How does that work? Okay, so like Plague Engineer names Elemental. Or are there lords that you can use that will save your elementals, and then Master of Waves is just the second lord? I don't know how this works. On top of that, Master of Waves isn't even an elemental, so you can't cast it off of the... Well, I mean, you could put 1 Unclaimed Territory, 1 Cavern of Souls on the elemental. So this is a 4-mana lord? Is that all Master of Waves is? They don't have good lords. So it's like you play Master of Waves first, and then you play out your elementals afterwards. Interesting. Well, if it works, it works. I mean, it will do the job. All other elementals. Or sorry, it's not all other, it's all elementals you control get +1/+1, because Master of Waves is not an elemental. Any thoughts on Teamer Reclamation? Or what format? Are you talking modern? If you're talking modern, great deck, great control deck. Definitely a way you could go if you like control. Definitely playable, and we're definitely going to see definitely going to see improvements to this archetype going into the future. Dire Wolf 87. Are you gonna do more modern top 10? Yes. I was a bit busy. I've been very busy with school lately, and especially I'm gonna go hard with content creation soon. But I can't remember I was supposed to get this done on Saturday, but I played. But that all changed when I went into the modern showcase challenge, and that sucked up like 10 hours of my day. For anyone that watched it, it's in a VOD, or if anyone that wants to watch it, it's in a VOD on Twitch. I'm not gonna post it on YouTube because I blocked out my hand, so it's not. I don't think it's worth actually putting up on YouTube. But if anyone wants to watch it, you can go for it. But yeah, I'm definitely going to do much more of these. I might do more formats too. We might see a legacy one. We might see Pioneer. Great questions today. Did I get Ezra Bolton? Did I thank Ezra Bolton for their subscription? If I did, I can't remember if I did. If I did not, thank you very much, Ezra Bolton, for your subscription. Subscribing with Prime for the first time. Thank you very much, Ezra Bolton. Awesome. This is 1 million subscriptions. Thank you very much. This is a great day for Coffee and MTG, that's for sure. Thanks for joining the wave. All right, where am I? Where are those question marks or the @Nikachu MTGs? That's what I'm looking for. When is Nikachu done with school for good? Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Maybe in a year and a half from now. Maybe. Why isn't Curse Catcher played anymore? So first off, the Curse Catcher is just too weak as a creature in itself. Here's the main problem. So Curse Catcher used to be good. Counter target instant or sorcery, unless the opponent pays 1. And a long time ago, especially during when Modern first got created, the format was full of actually clunky removal spells like Maelstrom Pulse and Anger of the Gods, and what else? Cryptic Command were like some of the most common spells. Scape Shift. What else? Like for the most part, there were like a lot of really clunky removal spells in Modern, but over time, the format got more mana efficient. With the introduction of like Assassin's Trophy, most importantly, Fatal Push. The curve of decks got lower and lower and lower. Now, there is a second most important thing, is that the most impactful spells in Modern are no longer instants and sorceries. They're creatures like Uro and Croxus and, well, whatever. There's a million new creatures that are very high impact in the metagame. Additionally, there are artifacts that are much more important. There's a lot of ensnaring bridge decks that started to develop. In addition to that, there's things like, well, Arkham's Astrolabe was around, but also Planeswalkers. Planeswalkers are a really big deal between Karn the Great Creator and Narset and Teferi Time Reveler and Teferi Hero of Dominaria and Jace the Mind Sculptor. The problem is the most high impact cards that you want to deal with are no longer instants and sorceries, and the instants and sorceries that exist are much lower in mana cost. So you actually don't interact with the format nearly as much as you used to. I mean, if you go back in time, there weren't as many Planeswalkers being played as there are now. Like back when I started playing Modern, there was like Jace, Architect of Thought, Elspeth Sun's Champion, Liliana the Veil. That's it. Like that's basically it. I don't like that's about it. So like Curse Catcher used to be good. It genuinely used to be good because like most of the spells, there were enough spells to interact with to slow the opponent down by 1 turn. And that 1 turn help you put another body on the battlefield, but that turn doesn't matter anymore, like because it doesn't exist. So what all the opponent does now is ignore the Curse Catcher, just attack the Lords, the high impact spells, And then in the long run, it's just a 1/1 creature that doesn't do anything. So it doesn't slow the opponent down on the earlier portions of the game, and it doesn't deal an effective amount of damage in the late portions of the game. So that's basically why Curse Catcher isn't played anymore. And for a very similar reason, I think it's unplayable in Legacy as well. It's not countering the spells that it needs to counter, and there are too many spells that it just doesn't interact with. Great question, though. A Curse Catcher is a fine example of, what's it called? A sacred cow that needed to be cut from an archetype in order for it to evolve. If you play an archetype long enough and the metagame has changed, Modern has changed, if you're the type of person that's complaining like things aren't what it used to be, maybe you have to take a good hard look at your deck and see what you have to cut so that it can compete in today's metagame. Because certainly it's probably like 4 to 8 cards that are not good anymore, and you just they're like, and you have to cut them. You gotta play something else that does interact favorably with the current metagame. All right, so now I think is a good time for deck list review. So if you've got any deck lists, please submit them in the chat, and you will be chosen at random. At random, that's how we do it here. We're actually on the work to getting a bot for this, but it's in development. Until then, I'm going to use my really crappy way of just counting all the submissions and then choosing a number at random. That's how we do it here. So maybe while people are submitting deck lists, I'll answer another question. In what world is Remand main deckable for us again? When the format gets really clunky. I don't think that's ever going to happen, because it's really hard when the format gets more and more mana efficient with things like Lava Dart and Gutshot and Skewer the Critics and Light Up the Stage, which is all 1 mana. It's going to be really hard for the format to go back the other way. It's very, very difficult. So Remand is good when the format's clunky. So if someone can sink especially 3 or more mana into a spell and you remand it, that's a plus. You win there. You spent 2 mana, they spent 3. You didn't lose any cards. You slowed them down. You're still you still are developing your board with Ether Vial, or maybe you already have stuff on the battlefield. That's where remand is very valuable to us. But when the format is like, you're not making a big win if you remand a 2 mana spell, and you are most certainly losing out if you remand a 1 mana spell. So that's basically how it is. Got a lot of submissions here. Glad everyone's ready with their deck lists. People are ready with the deck lists. What else do we have here? Is Stifle too good for Modern? Probably not. Probably not, to be honest. They could probably print Stifle in Modern. The question is, do they want to change the culture of Modern? Because Legacy has its own personality. Make no mistake, Legacy has its own personality with cards like I would love to have Back to Basics in Modern, but the people will have a fear, oh, it's just becoming Legacy, and there is some truth to that, because you might make it too similar to Legacy, where like what's the point of playing Legacy? What's the identity of Legacy anymore? Legacy is a brainstorm, ponder, Back to Basics, Stifle, Grim Monolith. It uses a lot of really old strong cards. I don't think, but that's the thing. I don't think Stifle is too good for Modern. Maybe they'll reprint this one. Maybe it's fine, and maybe there's it might help actually quite a bit in some matchups. For example, this probably hurts Tron a lot. I mean, you play Expedition Map for 1 mana, you spend 2 mana to crack it, and then you Stifle that. That is backbreaking, and there's going to be a lot of Tron hands after they've mulliganed to 5 where they depended on that Expedition Map resolving, and if you Stifle that trigger, that's a big deal. If you Stifle, and I do you know what? I would not be surprised if I, as a Merfolk player, would pick up Stifle in Modern Merfolk. It'd probably be a premier counterspell to counter things like Expedition Map, to counter things like even a Karn the Great Creator activation, to counter Blast Zone. There's a lot of utility and use for Stifle. I think in Modern right now it would be a very nice card for the format. But how many Legacy cards they want to add, I don't know. I don't know what they would want to do with that. All right, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Got 12. Nice. Yes, of course you can also Stifle fetch lands. which people hate. But, you know, hell, you can play with less fetch lands, play with a less greedy mana base. That could be... I think it would be... I think we would live in a better... Honestly, we might live in a better world where Blood Moon doesn't exist, but Stifle does exist, so you still get punished for trying to play a 3-color mana base, so that the fetches aren't free. All right. Oops. Okay, hold on. I'll redo this, because this one doesn't count because it wasn't publicly seen. All right, so we're at 11 potentials. Number 6. Number 6 from the top. So where am I? Oh, did Shamble 1 enter too early? No. Okay, good. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Mr. Thule. All right, you're the next contestant on Decklist review. Standard black-white. Yorion, why not? So this is going to be 80 cards. Jeez. Stonecoil Serpent. Solemn Simulacrum. Golos, Tireless Pilgrim, and Realm Cloak Giant. 7/7 with Vigilance. But it's a sweeper as well. Elspeth Sun's Nemesis, Karn the Great Creator, Ugin. Ooh, so you actually have some good stuff to blink. This is very expensive. This deck is really high on the curve, though. Like, it's really expensive. Dire Tactics, Legions, and Shatter the Sky. Maze Mind Tome, Chromatic Lantern. Lands you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color. And it's a ramp card itself. Heraldic Banner. This Heraldic Banner enters the battlefield, choose a color. Creatures you control, blah, blah, blah. Add 1 mana of any color. Elspeth Conquers Death. Okay, I have a really good question. What are you doing on the earlier turns of the game? I think your best card here is, what's it called? No, I don't. You start the game so late. You do have Legion's End and 2 Dire Tactics. You have Stonecoil Serpent. I think this deck is too clunky. Your curve is so high. Like, the curve is ridiculously high. Like, it doesn't necessarily need 1-drop creatures, because this is a control deck. But you need more removal, like Dire Tactics. You need more Legion's End and stuff like that. Like, you need early interaction here. You're not starting the game until turn 4, and you're going to be dead by then. And probably you don't want Stonecoil Serpent. I don't know if this is all that necessary. Like, yeah, it's a good mana sink when you get super late in the game, but in fact, it doesn't have like good synergy with Yorion at all. Everything else has synergy. Solemn Simulacrum, Golos, whatever. The thing's fine, I guess. Not really, no synergy there, but also blinking. All these things are also fine. You need more early game. So you gotta make a decision about some of these cards. Definitely take out have earlier stuff in the game. On top of that, you're an 80 card deck, right? Because this is your companion. So if Yorion is your companion, you're like the very few early game stuff that you have, like, just gets drowned out. You have literally 7 cards to play before turn 4. I mean, I know you've got the Chromatic Lantern, but you have some Maze Mind Tombs, but still, you're doing like very, very little. You gotta be doing something earlier on in the game, in my opinion. This doesn't seem that important to your deck, to be honest. This Heraldic Banner. Creatures you control of the chosen color get +1/+0, and you can add a mana of any color. I guess it's better than this. It's a very similar card. It's a ramp card. And also, I think this ramp card is awkward in your deck because you've got a lot of stuff at 4 mana, so you're not really ramping into this very well. You need like 2 mana ramp cards would be better. So, okay, what can we suggest our friend here? This is it's black white, 33 lands. I hope this is the appropriate number of lands for a deck like this. Radiant Fountain, I guess that could be fine. Blast Zone could be fine. So Tempo Mage suggests Oath of Kaya, 3 mana though. Oh, you know what? 3 mana might be better to have removal at this point, instead of ramp. I think 4 Ugin the Spirit Dragon. I think that might be too many Ugins. And your ramp should be better. Like, this is incremental ramp, by the way. Is there a better ramp in the format, like a Ever-Flowing Chalice type of ramp that scales when you have more mana? This is just add 1 mana. This is not going to do it. I mean, you're better off with like a Clue Stone or something that you can sacrifice for a card. So like these have to change. You might as well just have land drops. These might as well be just removal spells that cantrip for the most part. Find it hard to play ramp without Uro or Grazer. Well, Grazer is not really ramp. Well, Grazer is ramp, but I don't really like that card. I like Uro, but this is black-white. If you're going a black-white Yorion deck, there's already an established deck. Can you share it with us, Tuckstev? Maybe add green for ramp? Maybe, but like what kind of ramp? It's got to be good ramp. Charming Prince, Oath of Kaya, Heartless Act, Eliminate, Extinction Event. These are all possibilities. Yeah, I suppose it will get, though, as if I won't change. Sad thing is that no 2 mana ramps for black-white. But it could even be colorless. It doesn't need to be black-white. If you can ramp turn 3 Elspeth, Sun's Nemesis, I think that's a win. If you can ramp turn 3 Karn, the Great Creator, that can be a win as well. If you can ramp turn 3 Solemn Simulacrum, that's a win. The point is that, like, when you play turn 3 Chromatic Lantern, you're still playing a turn 4 Solemn Simulacrum. You're still playing turn 4 Elspeth. You're still playing turn 4 Karn. It's like the ramp card didn't matter. It's like it didn't change anything. It didn't change how quickly Karn got onto the battlefield. So it can be like, I don't know if there's a 2 mana ramp card, like an artifact. So TechStev's got something. What can we learn from a deck that's already exists? So let's see if we can borrow some ideas here. Because, and you don't have to copy someone's list, but just borrow the ideas, you know? So this is a very, very different list. I think our friend Mr. Thule is trying to play a... Okay, well, let's look. Let's look at it. Because this is not a companion in this deck. Agonizing Remorse. Target player reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. Exile that card, and you lose 1 life. Not really thrilled with this. I prefer not to lose life. Glass Casket, that's a possibility. It's at least a removal spell early on in the game. Enters the battlefield, exile target creature and opponent controlled to convert mana cost 3 or less, unless Glass Casket leaves the battlefield. Charming Prince could be okay, because this is also a good Yorion target. You can scry too for the lands that you need or the removal. You can gain 3 life. Or you can also exile another target creature you control, you own. So even in the late game, when you're blinking your, you can blink your Golos or blink your Solemn Simulacrum. So that would be a better choice than Stonecoil Serpent. And maybe you can chump block with Charming Prince and actually get some value out of it. Burglar Rat. There's the battlefield. Each opponent discards a card. Not really look, because we need cards that will help Mr. Thule get to the late game, because that's basically what this deck is. It's a late game deck. Mortify. Destroy target creature enchantment. That's probably okay. That's actually probably a really good card. I think Oath of Kai is also in the wheelhouse as well. Treacherous Blessing. Enters the battlefield. Draw 3 cards. You cast a spell, you lose life. When Blessing becomes the target of a spell or ability, sacrifice it. I'm looking for things to like affect the battlefield. I don't think I like this. Kaya may or may not be good. Elspeth Sun's Nemesis is good. So I don't know. I don't know how Kaya herself interacts with the format. If well, then maybe this is a good one because it can get blinked by Yorion. So anyway, you definitely need to. I would replace all those ramp cards with maybe things that you can blink with Yorion. Oath of Kaya seems like a really good idea. Maybe the Kaya or Orzhov Usurper is where you want to be. So scrap the ramp, scrap it, and I don't even know if you want Realm Cloak Giant. I think it's an awkward CMC. Maybe you want a few of them, but you can't blink this thing and get value, and then replace Stonecoil Serpent with something else. And if you want to win with your top end of all this stuff, you know, go for it. Maybe a quick look at the sideboard. I don't mind having a Stonecoil Serpent in the sideboard for the times that you just have nothing in play and you just want a Karn for like one giant creature, so that could be fine. Grafdigger's Cage, Soul, you got a good artifact package here. Glass Casket is a great idea. Mystic Forge. Yeah, this is all fine. But I'm just letting you know, 3 mana ramp spell doesn't help you get, your 4 mana spells out earlier. And this is like where your curve starts, which is really important. You need 2 mana ramp spells to help you get into that 4 mana. So I hope that was valuable. I hope that was helpful. Thank you very much for the deck list. All right, so let's go through another one. I don't think any new deck lists were added, so what we can do is where am I? What am I doing here? So we had 11. Sorry, no, we had 11, so we just go down to 10. Okay, good luck, everyone. 1! I know who that is. M515. What's up, M515? I think you will enjoy the janky modern deck. All right. I like janky stuff. You're looking for feedback? Are you just showing off? Ramponza. Green-white Ramponza. Arbor Elf. Azusa, Lost But Seeking. Carnage Tyrant. Oh, shit. Can't be countered, trample, and hexproof. I mean, it's a decent win condition. 6 mana, not too bad. Dryad of the Elysian Grove, Leonin Arbiter, Ramanap Excavator, Thragtusk, Wayward Swordtooth. This is a 5/5. You can play additional lands, but it can't attack or block until you have the City's Blessing, so you need to have enough permanents in play. Forest, Ghost Quarter, 2 Plains, Temple Garden, Windswept Heath, Sylvan Scrying, Utopia Sprawl. So this is very, very similar to the old green-white value decks. 2 Crucible of Worlds. I'm surprised you don't have some of these in the main deck, but maybe you just don't have room. Damping Sphere, Leyline of Sanctity, 3 Relic. That's a bizarre one, but maybe you're going to be taking out your Ramanap Excavator in those situations. Is there anything else that... I think overall you can run the Relic of Progenitus and 2 Veil of Summer. You probably want a third one of these. I'm not 100% sure. Looks like a good card, but you already have like uncounterable things in your deck. Really cool list. It will work. It will definitely work. Somehow I feel like you should have a little bit more land destruction, but I don't know. Maybe Ghost Quarter is enough. I was thinking like one or 2 Field of Ruin. Maybe. Just a thought. Leonin Arbiter is both ways. Players can't search libraries, so I guess that's the problem. You can't actually use Field of Ruin very well. Maybe you can use Tectonic Edge, but Ghost Quarter is going to be fine. All right, Leonin Arbiter. Cool list. So the idea is ramp into like Azusa, Lost But Seeking, get more lands on the battlefield, get Dryad of the Elysian Grove on the battlefield. I guess you win with Thragtusk. Is this really better than, say, Primeval Titan? Like Primeval Titan's 1 mana more, but this, well, whatever. The 5/3 gain 5 life actually is pretty useful in the metagame right now. Screw you, Prowess. Take that, gain 5 life. And I'll just assume this is good if you like this. You want to win with dinosaurs. Is this was the deck called Dinosaurs? Ramponza. Yeah, this is cool. I don't think it's as janky as you think it is. Like there were between like Ramanap Excavator and Ghost Quarter have like destroyed so many decks. This is actually a lethal combo. This is a very strong combo if people aren't aware. Like turn after, if you keep Ghost Quartering someone, they will run out of basics. There's a lot of decks in Modern. They don't have that many basics. Like how many basics does Burn have? 2? Like so basically you can you very quickly can make the person run out of basics. You don't even need Leonin Arbiter on the battlefield. So anyway, really cool list. I have a feeling like one of these cards needs to change to something else. like a Primeval Titan, for example, but I don't know which one. Maybe the Wayward Swordtooth, because this thing really depends on you having well, okay, this thing allows you to put more land drops onto the battlefield. What's the payoff? Just Carnage Tyrant? So hold on, let's say you ramp turn 2 Wayward Sword. Also, you can get turn 3 Thragtusk in play. See, this is a great example of planning your curve out. So you turn 1 Arbor Elf. Can I get Arbor Elf? Turn 2 like Wayward Swordtooth. Play a land. So you have 4 mana in play right now. And then turn 3 you can get Thragtusk in play. Not bad. Turn 3 Thragtusk still is going to be great in Modern. Thanks for the submission, M515. Really cool stuff. Nice list. Nice list. Thanks for sharing. If you're just joining us, this is Coffee and MTG. We are in deck list review time. We're reviewing and looking at some great lists. If you need some clarity, what do people think of that last list? What are your opinions? Collected company in that list? Maybe. I think the top end doesn't get hit. That's a problem. I will always stand by that people don't run enough basics, and that's why they're going to get ruined by Ghost Quarter. Where's the collected company? Because I think the top end of the deck is not like, okay, let's go analyze the deck quickly. Does it need? It has 30 creatures, but this is not accessible, so that's 2. Thragtusk is not accessible, that's 6 now. Is there anything else? This is not a good target. So basically, there's 24 creatures in the deck for collected company, and you know what? You're gonna have to get rid of 4 creatures. So that means, like, I guess you could get rid of Thragtusk for the collected company because it's not really, because if you don't get, well, first off, I think Thragtusk is good right now. I think it's good. So if you take out something else like Wayward Swordtooth, now you have less things to collected company for. And then like I can see that collected company might be awkward in this list. Yeah, list was really sweet. Too many Azusa? Maybe like maybe some of those could be trimmed. There's a lot because we've got like how many cards here? We have so many cards that ramp us from 3 to 5. We got Azusa. We have Wayward Swordtooth, and also we have Dryad of the Elysian Grove. All these cards give us extra land drops, so there's definitely room to be trimming something. Maybe Azusa is the one because it gives us the least value, or maybe Dryad is the worst. Do we have? You know what? I think you would free roll playing some Valakuts in this deck. Just some. Like, why not? You're already running Dryad of the Elysian Grove. You might as well have like 1 or 2 Valakuts because you're free rolling it, right? More or less. Just treat it as a colorless land. And it would be a source of damage in the long run when you just have a million lands on the battlefield. I could get behind that. I could totally get behind that. You have Sylvan Scrying here. Sylvan Scrying might be one of the cards to cut because your deck curves into 3 but doesn't curve into 4. So you really want Arbor Elf or Utopia Sprawl turn 1. But I don't think Sylvan Scrying is as valuable. Well, okay, maybe it's a tutor. Okay, so you know what? If you can squeeze in the Valakut, then actually I see a lot of value in Sylvan Scrying because now you can tutor for the Valakut or the Ghost Quarter. But this seems like the most awkward card in the deck at the moment. Yeah, you can Sylvan Scrying for Valakut, so maybe it's more valuable in that way. But then at that point, you might have like 1 or 2. Might as well have 1 or 2 Primeval Titan in the deck, you know. But like overall, the list is good. So anyway, food for thought. A cool shell. Anyway, cool idea to work with. Nice stuff. All right, so it's time to choose a next contestant on The Price is Right or Wrong. Who knows? Okay, so we're at number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna look at 5x5's list. What are your notes? 5x5. Improved after last time, but I keep losing to control and wondering what I should get over time as it becomes less budget. Okay, so this is a budget mono blue wizards. Baron Talarian Archmage. So first things first, this is not that great against control. So this is just make sure you side cards like this out because you're not really bouncing anything. Or at least I don't know what you're bouncing. Fairy Seer also probably should dump it against control. I'm just kind of give you like some ideas of what to like do against control. You should actually probably dump this card because the card itself is just like asking to get 2-for-1 when you get sweeped. The card is not strong enough to close out the game. I'm just wondering, like, I see a lot of these cards, and should be no reason why you don't win with this deck against control. Like Gadwick the Wizened in the late game, this just fills your hand back up. Sometimes hard to resolve. So let's look at the mana base. This is, what's the format? Modern? Okay. So yeah, like you got to side these things out. So Gadwick, good. Or like Gadwick, fine. Master of Waves, fine. Like sometimes control decks can't deal with this, but also sometimes it's clunky. Trickster is very good. Naban, I think, is really good. Honestly, against control decks, 2 mana for a 2-power creature is a fine rate. Silvergill Adapt, good. Siren Storm Tamer, I could keep this in against control. Not the greatest source of damage, but helps protect some of your better creatures like Master of Waves. Like if you go Siren Storm Tamer into Master of Waves, you'll get like 2 water tokens, so like Master of Waves is 6 power, and then you can use the Siren Storm Tamer to protect it. Tidebinder Mage is fine. Watch for Tomorrow. I keep forgetting that this is a Modern Horizons card. Really cool. Great card as well. So it's like Silver Gillidat, but the card is delayed. Lands, you have 22. Castle Vantress, Fairy Conclave, Island, Minamo, 2 Nykthos, 1 Oboro Palace in the Clouds. So you have Damping Matrix, Damping Sphere, 4 Relic, 2 Venser, 4 Wizard's Retort. Maybe play more counter magic. You don't have that much counter magic. You have 4, which is okay, but it's clunky. Okay, so what is the easiest thing to get? That would be budget. Things like, oh, sorry, not budget. Like to improve the deck, probably Force Negation, probably. Probably. What else can help you? Venser is good. Okay, here's the easiest one. Cavern of Souls. Cavern of Souls Wizard. That's it. You have any idea how hard it is for control decks to beat a Cavern of Souls sometimes? So, there are so many games where I just slam Cavern of Souls on the battlefield. Yes, there are so many games where I just play a Cavern of Souls. I start playing creatures, and it's like my opponent's doing nothing, and then they just die. And why did they die? Because they had counter spells in their hand. They had Spell Snare, Mana Leak, Remand, Cryptic Command, all that stuff, and it didn't interact with my board because I had a Cavern of Souls. And so if you ever find that you're losing to counter magic, like, yeah, you can play around it by playing things at flash speed, but for the most part, it's a lot easier to beat those decks if you have access to something like Cavern of Souls. So this is like a Devotion deck. There was a Devotion deck not too long ago that Bishark, I think, got a 5-0 with. And one of the cards that they played was, I don't know if Bishark would keep this in against control, but like Leyline of Anticipation, it's a pretty cheap card overall. It allows you to play your creatures at flash speed and adds Devotion. I don't want to change too much because I think the list is fine. It's just maybe how you're playing against control might be a problem. Like I would definitely, so hold on, where's the, I'm just trying to look at Vile Cavern and Force. What about the fairy that pulls a card? Oh yeah, Click is good. But the problem is if Prowess is very popular these days, it's not that good. Like, I don't even like Brazen Borrower all that much, to be honest. Because the problem is the 1 toughness is a big deal. It's really crappy. So TechStev says Naban is bad. I've played with Naban many times. Naban is... Now, I think Naban is good. I'll just flat out say I think Naban is good. It's a very strong card. The problem is, like, from a Merfolk perspective, we might as well be playing with Phantasmal Image because it can copy our lords. but you will get good value out of Naban. When you play Naban, they have to kill it. There's a lot of matchups. I go Naban, Tidebinder Mage, game over, basically. Naban, Silvergill Adapt, it's really, really good value. So it is, and in some ways it's less vulnerable than Phantasmal Image because, I mean, it doesn't have to die to like anything targeting it. Like, for example, what do I want to say? Like a pump spell, for example. I know there's a lot of things that will kill Naban anyway, but like a pump spell would kill Phantasmal Image, whereas it wouldn't do that to Naban. So I think for this list, going Naban into Master of Waves is still very powerful. It's a very, very strong effect. And also Naban into Gadwick is very, very strong. Very, very good. So I have nothing against this at all. Narhu Miha has a 4-mana Wizard Lord. Stony Brook reduces cost. Those are any good? I think Narhu, there is something there. But the problem is this deck is already like pretty top heavy with Master of Waves. Or Master of Waves and Gadwick and Baron. And I don't know if this deck can take more things at the top of the curve. So if anyone doesn't know what Naru Miha is, it's she's 4-mana Flash Lord and can also copy your own spell that's on the stack. But that's very hard to get. That's very hard to use. But I do think Naru Miha has potential. Maybe it needs to be play tested. Maybe it's better than Master of Waves because Master of Waves is a sorcery speed card. Naru is not. Yeah, RP Fairies. Well, I think the card is fine. It's just something I would side out against Control. That's all. It's definitely something I would side out against Control. But a wizard is a wizard, so you know whatever. A wizard is a wizard. Just thinking, what other it's just super bad to play your best creature first. Well, I wouldn't say Naban is like the best creature first. If anything, this is the secondary creature. And if they kill that, it like how do I put it? It clears the way for removal for your higher impact spells. Like that's how I saw it. So first I got so you can win in two ways with Naban, because this is how I played out for me. You play Naban first, and you get super value after that. And then they learn, oh, you have to kill Naban. But then if they're killing Naban, they're letting like things like Master of Waves survive going into the futures, or even Gadwick or something like that. So I don't think it's nearly as bad. I would love to playtest Baron, Tolarian Archmage. I think this is really good. So I hope some of these sideboard ideas can help. You might want more mana. 22 lands seems pretty low. This is well, you have Fairy Seer. So I mean, it's not too bad. Because if you're going to be playing mostly at sorcery speed with very few counter spells, I have to admit, it's very difficult to beat the deck. It's going to be very difficult to beat Control. But I think you've got a lot of stuff going on here. Good upgrades would definitely be cards like I think you've mentioned 5x5. You play Ether Vial, Cavern of Souls, potentially Force Negation. Those things will all help in the Control matchup. Aside from that, cool list. I hope Mono Blue Wizards in Modern can be a thing for you. Okay, we'll do one more. Where's my random number generator? All right, here we go. Hope that was valuable. Let's go. Number 2. Who is number 2 here? 1, 2. Ace Card 21. This is a slightly adapted list from the recent event. The deck is called Vile Titan. So I heard about this, but I've never actually seen the list. I'm sure if someone randomly showed me this list on this show, I would say it's a pile of crap. Yeah, not my list, F. Pavlush's list. So did he make the list, or did he get it from somebody else? But I remember I just saw it briefly. It has Primeval Tide and Ether Vial in the same deck. So Elvish Reclamator gets +2/+2 as long as there are 3 or more land cards in your graveyard. Secure Tribe Elder, Thalia, Courser, Dryad, Eternal Witness, Fierce Empath. We got a reader, people. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost 6 or greater, revealed, put into your hand, then shuffle your library. So this is a way of like just tutoring for your Titan. but why one of? Now the Reliquary, Tireless Tracker, Golos, 2 Primeval Titan, and Woodland Bellower. Enters the battlefield, you can search your library for a non-legendary green creature card with converter mana cost 3 or less, put onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So the idea is, I guess you somehow find this, and then you get this, then you get this. Vladimire's Call. So you search your deck for any one of these cards, pending how much mana you have, I guess. And Ether Vial. So I guess this is so slow for an Ether Vial deck. So you're like basically trying to put things into play at turn 3. 27 lands: Blast Zone, Bajuka Bog, Castle Garenbrig, Field of the Dead, Flagstones of Trocaire. So is there some notes on this deck? Like, what's the plan? I understand like these creatures are supposed to like chain into each other. What's the first card? Like what is the route to victory with this deck? I mean, I'm sure it can value out people and stuff like that, but is there a clear plan? Like you get the Fierce Empath, and then from there you get the Woodland Bellower, and then from there you get the Eternal Witness to get Fierce Empath back, to get Primeval Titan. Like, what's going on here? Yeah, the best description I have is that it's a Toolbox Titan deck. Looks like the plan is you hope you live to see turn 3. Well, yeah, you have a little bit of ramp here. Secure Tribe Elder. Thalia will slow things down. Courser. Don't underestimate Courser. That's value. And there's like lands 27. So basically, Courser of Kruphix basically guarantees that you get 2 cards per turn. Courser of Kruphix basically says like draw 2 cards per turn for 0 mana. And gain life. Anyway, I think I would have to have F. Pavlush on the show to tell me like how this deck properly works. Like I can definitely see what the plan here is, and definitely can work. Like I have nothing against it. It just looks like if it wasn't F. Pavlush who made this deck, I would just say scrap the Ether Vial. Like, what's the point of this? That looks pretty slow. Can you put counters on it in any way? Not really, no. Anyway, strange thing. But I've it's working for him, so I'm not going to dispute results at all. Celestial Purge, this is a good one. Knight of Autumn and Arasta, the Endless Web. Whenever an opponent casts an instant or sorcery spell, create a 1/2 green spider creature token with reach. Vial started as a meme, but it put in work on stream. That's hilarious. It's like, let's just put Ether Vial in our Primeval Titan deck. Wait a minute, this is actually pretty good. Creatures are coming into play with uncounterable, and it's at instant speed. This is actually really good. So anyway, thanks for sharing the list. I have no comments on it because this is not really my build, and it definitely has results from F. Pavlush. I'm sure you put your own spice in here. I think that will be fine. Not exactly sure what that spice is. Is it the Golos? I'm not sure exactly what your changes are here. Not gonna lie, it got some spice though. It's like you can get results with like anything that has something resembling a game plan. Well, I mean, the critical thing is like I will admit, we can talk about this very quickly. I will admit, like, if I get a 5-0, it's not that meaningful because especially in the metagame, right, or the way Magic the Gathering Online is constructed right now, the leagues aren't really that competitive. There is a lot of I wouldn't say all ponies in there. The ponies, they're whatever. It's softer than the days of the competitive leagues, but it still can give an indication of what's possible, and that's still important. So, but like if he took this list and played in an open and it did well, then I would say that it's actually solid. Like, let's not forget, like Ether Vial looks bad in Goblins, in my opinion, because their deck is full of 3-drops and 4-drops, and I don't think it's any different in this sort of situation. So long as you have enough time to get the Ether Vial to 3, now it becomes a powerhouse because now you're playing, you're drawing 2 cards a turn off of the Courser of Kruphix, and then you're playing like probably 2 cards a turn through your Ether Vial and your mana. And not to mention the mana is like it's basically spells in itself. Like you got Field of the Dead, but you have Ghost Quarter. What am I really talking about? Bajuka Bog, Blast Zone, Ghost Quarter, Valakut. But it implies that something could be here. Maybe it's not the perfect 75, and it needs to be proven at a higher level. But I wouldn't say it's a complete joke. You know, maybe there should be more experimentation with Valor. Let's not forget, Shota Yasuoka at a very high level created, what was it called? Cryptic Eternal. It was called Eternal Command. It was a rug control deck with Ether Vial in it. So a lot of mana sources. I think it was like 23 lands plus 4 vials, and it was a control deck with Snapcaster Mage, Tarmogoyf, and Eternal Witness. That was a complete brew and annihilated everybody in that tournament, and only lost in the finals of this players. It was a players championship, and it only lost in the finals to Yuya Watanabe. And for all we know, Yuya cheated there. So I mean, you never know where Ether Vial could actually be played. It may not be as ridiculous as it looks. It was just upping the Eladamri's call count. So that was the only change they made to the deck. That's fine. That's totally fine. Anyway, have you played with it at all? Ace card? Or is just this hypothetical? Hey, Yuya not only got caught, but he's also like abandoned the game, so he didn't really have anything to say about it, so yeah. Yeah, Yuya cast shade on himself. Absolutely. Absolutely. So anyway, cool list. Good luck with it. Let us all know what you find with your playtesting, and maybe this deck is maybe it will help push more people to play. Just throw Ether Vial in anything, which actually could be scary, because if Ether Vial is playable in anything, that's not good. It's going to be looked at like a Soul Ring in the format. But anyway, that is it for today. Thank you very much, everyone who joined us for this great conversation about Magic the Gathering. I hope you enjoyed your coffee as much as I did. Remember, if you want to watch the show live, come check us out at twitch.tv/Nikachu MTG. We do this Monday to Friday, 11 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. And of course, just a shout out to my gameplay. That's also done on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We start that at like 12 to 1 p.m. Well, I might as well say 12 p.m. Starts at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. I'm going to just to give a shout out again to my sponsors, themanabase.com and Mana Traders. And yeah, thank you very much, everyone who showed up today. We had a great conversation, and I hope to see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.